Hello everyone. Today, the topic that I have chosen to share with you is about the leadership. Leadership in every dimension. Many of the people would love to play the leadership roles, but often many people think that they may not be the right people to play the role of a leader. Some of the people want to be a project leader, all the way to a vice president of a company or even a CEO of a company. There are certain fundamental things that leadership demands. Leadership, in my opinion, is something that can be cultivated. You don't need to be a born leader. So what are the traits? What are the important factors in making sure that we all become leaders? Yes, I do believe that everyone has a chance to become a leader, an exceptional leader, a leader who would be really motivated to contribute more for all the stakeholders. So let us examine some of the things that are most important to be recognized as an outstanding and exceptionally talented leader. At the fundamental thing, a leader has to make sure that all the stakeholders are indeed happy. Not only just happy, if you want to be a super duper leader, you have to delight. I am underlining the point, delight all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders can be your employees in a company if you are a CEO, all the customers that you have in your company, and also the investors who put a lot of their money into your own company. So as long as your investors, your customers, and your team members are delighted, then definitely you are a successful leader. That's wonderful. Then what needs to be done? How can I cultivate? What are the rules of the game? It is also so simple. Simple in the sense that once you know it, you can get those skills nurtured. To be precise, I will say it is all about thinking, doing, and communicating. Yes, thinking, doing, and communicating. Most of us, the moment there is a task, we just rush into the job and want to just get that job completed, that task completed. That is, in my opinion, doing. Because we want to complete the task and move on to the next task. Task after task after task with tremendous speed. Here, if you really want to be a leader, just doing things alone will not take you to much greater distances. You need to think. You need to almost get things done exceptionally well. And also you need to keep all your stakeholders in constant communication. So that is thinking, you can say it is strategy. Doing, that is operations. And communication, it is getting connected with all the stakeholders, that is your customers, your investors, and your employees. It is so simple. It sounds very obvious, but it is not. Because we got used to doing things one after another without giving much attention and time to what we are referring to here as thinking. When I say thinking is strategy, strategically thinking, sustained thinking, innovative thinking, creative thinking, you can bring all those things into play. Thinking about the future, thinking about the competition, thinking about how you want to take your area of operation into greater heights. You may be in an IT company, or you may be in a manufacturing company, you may be the principal of a college, or you may be just a captain of your team. Anywhere and everywhere, the leadership is something which is extremely crucial if you want to be successful. So please remember, unless we give importance and assign time to this factor called thinking, you will be landing into a lot of rework later on. Working once itself is something not easy, but then doing the same task again and again, trying to rectify, trying to come up with the exact solution, trying to passionately deliver things to your customers, all those things, if you want to do first thing right and everything right, it needs a tremendous amount of thinking. It is something like, are you on a treadmill or are you on an easy chair? Everyone wants to sit in an easy chair, because that's where you will not be in tremendous amount of tension. Because once you are doing a job, there will be tension. there will be work pressure, there will be time pressure, there will be pressures from the competition, there will be pressures from the customers. All those kinds of things will make you always in a tense kind of a situation. But the moment you say, at this point of time, I'm thinking not about today or tomorrow, but I'm thinking slightly long term. What is long term? For a CEO of a large company, long term can be 2 to 3 years. For a project leader doing a project for 6 months, the long term can be next week or next fortnight. For somebody, a team member who is writing program after program, thinking can be a few minutes of the time before actually getting into the coding and testing job. So thinking is essential. The time duration or how far ahead you need to think depends on the role that you are actually playing. Here I talked about a few minutes to all the way to 2 to 3 years. It all depends on the role that you are playing. But the time is very, very limited in such manner. In that limited time, people have to manage your customers, manage your team members, and also manage the investors. When we say everybody can be a leader, even a project leader, leading, let's say, a team of 10 people, again, if you look at the project leader perspective, the 10 people are that project leader's employees, and the one boss that the project leader has, that boss is the investor for this project leader, and that project leader is delivering services to the customer, so that one customer is the customer. So the project leader's world still has all the 3 dimensions: one boss who is acting as an investor, one customer for whom these services are being done, and these 10 team members, that is a team. So for the project leader, again, the boss needs to be delighted, the customer needs to be delighted, and all the 10 team members need to be delighted. As long as you take the responsibility for the work done by the 10 people, then you are a leader. You can then never get an opportunity to blame somebody saying that because one of the team members has failed, then I'm not able to show the result. So that means the project leader has to take the responsibility of getting things done by all the team members. Then here, can you get the things done faster? And can you get things done with minimum mistakes or almost no mistakes? This is very important. It is never an easy task to delight all the stakeholders, because a simple example I can share with you. If you give more and more salaries to your employees, obviously employees will be delighted. Easy to delight the employees is throw money, give them more money, give them bonuses, give them performance bonuses, make 4-day weeks and things like that. Employees will be happy. But what happens to the investors? If you keep on increasing the salaries every 6 months, the profitability will go down and the share value will come down and investors are unhappy. You can't afford to keep the investors unhappy. Even if your profitability is less, you just cannot compromise on the quality of the customer delight. So customer delight is a given thing. Then employee delight versus profitability, you need to balance. So whichever leader can comfortably and happily and consistently balance the delight levels of employees, investors, and the customers can be a leader. Then for doing this, you have to do thinking, you need to get things done, that is doing, and then communication. This is very, very important. So many people, many leaders think that why should I spend a lot of time on communication? Communication is the job of a HR department, or communication is the work of a marketing department. No, it is not. At every level in the leadership, right from the CEO to the project leader level, people have to own this responsibility of communicating with your teams. Similarly, a project leader can comfortably communicate with those 10 people, maybe if not once in 3 days, at least once a week. Now, even from work from home, who is preventing you in terms of reaching out to your employees? You don't need to think that it is a 1-hour process or 2-hour process. An effective communication can happen in just a matter of 10-15 minutes as well. So communication with the employees, never take it for granted. Unless the team members are highly motivated and passionate themselves, they will never be able to do a fantastic job to delight your customers. Your customers need to be delighted means first your employees need to be delighted. Your employees need to be delighted means you need to play a role as a leader in terms of motivating them, sending them for training programs, sharing with them your experiences, listening their stories, and making help when they need it. So you have to be a hands-on manager and a leader. Now, talking to the investors, Obviously, at a CEO level, there will be opportunities for inviting investors formally and informally, and issuing press statements and stating about the long-term visions, talking about the just concluded quarterly results and say what's happening in the whole company and what kind of plans, what kind of employee attrition that is actually happening, how many new customers that they're adding, where new geographies are being added to the company. All that kind of stuff is an extremely important thing for any investor. Now, when we talk about a project leader, I mentioned the investor for a project leader is his or her own boss. So that boss needs to know how well you are doing it. Because if you are not doing a good job, customer will not wait for you to get back to him. Customer will go and talk to your boss and boss's boss, or even if required, they will go and talk to the CEO of your company. CEO of your company may be important for you, but for the customer who is paying money, CEO is just another person, responsible person. They don't mind talking to them, sending an email to them. So you need to make sure that you manage the hierarchy upwards, your boss and boss's boss and so on and so forth. So what kind of a proactive communication that you have in terms of making sure that the entire hierarchy above are completely safe in terms of understanding which customer you are dealing with, what projects you are running, how well you are running, all that. Even when the project is having problem, you need to proactively go and talk to your boss and say that there are certain issues in the project. So you need to make sure that you need to take help from the people above you. And then, so we talked about employees communication, we talked about upwards communication, and then customer communication. Obviously, every customer wants a weekly report or weekly teleconference or whatever. Even when the customer is not asking for a meeting, it is up to you as a good leader to go and force a meeting and ensure that the status is very clearly updated. So the importance of communication can never be undermined, but most of the people are not doing a good job, not allocating good time to the communication element. So we talked about the thinking and the communication elements getting lesser and lesser time and importance by the so-called ambitious leaders. My request to you at this point of time to conclude is that you need to give equal focus to doing, thinking and communication. I would like to say that to be a leader, you don't need to think that, oh, I was not born as a leader. Leaders can be made. You just need to know the psychology behind this, philosophy behind it, process orientation behind it, and the attitude towards the whole thing. You must be a passionate person, willing to deliver, willing to delight all the stakeholders. So I wish each one of you the very best in terms of gaining leadership positions at much younger age than you're expecting and come out with huge successes. Thank you very much.